Hello everybody, welcome back to 3D Printing Doctor. At this episode, we are going to interview with Formlabs and ask them some questions about their new resin series. We have two bottles over here. One is Creator Super Clear Resin and the other one is Creator Super Tough Resin.
Creator Tough Resin.
Creator Tough Resin. Okay, I will need to get used to that name for sure. And here I am with Jessie. Could you introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi everybody, my name is Jessie. I have been with Formlabs for about 7 years now in a variety of different roles. Originally starting off on the support team, helping people fix their Form 1 and Form 2 printers back in the day. And now I work as a product manager. So I help Formlabs decide what products to make, what products not to make, what new industries to enter. And I have been working for the last couple of months on the Creator Resin series.
Yeah, so I think we have a lot of questions here. I prepared some, I'm ready. And what's going on? Why are we here? Formlabs did what?
Formlabs did what? So we're launching a brand new resin series for us. This is the first time we're actually explicitly making resin that is not intended for use with our printers. We've seen sort of the growth of the hobbyist, quote unquote, hobbyist resin market over the past 2-3 years and seen it really just explode. People pushing the bounds of what they're doing, of where they're printing, of the things that they're printing. And we also saw some issues, I'd say, with this market. Issues that we thought that we could come in and maybe help the users address a little bit. And so some of the issues we saw were, one, a lack of really strong mechanical properties. Two, a lack of sort of documentation around what's in the resin, how to use the resin, the settings even. And then three, probably most importantly, is the safety with the resins.
Most of you guys know Formlabs for their machines and resins, but like as you guys just heard, they are releasing these new resins for any 3D printer in the market. That's what I'm really excited for because I always love Formlabs resins, but I never get a chance to buy one Formlabs because it's very expensive for a maker. But now I can use those resins in my 3D printers at home. And that's really good. Formlabs tests its resins with other 3D printers, right?
Yeah.
Available on the market. Like one question is like, how many? Did you test all of them? And what motivated this decision to ensure compatibility beyond your own machines?
Yeah. I'd say at kind of a high level that as we've seen the hobbyist market grow, we've seen that not everyone needs all the amazing resins that Formlabs makes. We make a lot of really specialty, sort of industrial, professional resins, things that have glass in them, they're ESD safe, all sort of really specialty, fantastic materials. But if you're a hobbyist and you're looking to sort of, enjoy yourself on a weeknight or the weekend, print some minis, you don't always need those types of properties. And so that's really what we're doing here is saying that not everyone needs a Formlabs printer, a Form 4 printer, if you're just printing hobbyist things. And so we wanted to make it compatible with all the most popular, lower cost printers out there. So we kind of looked at all the printers that were about sub $1,000. And then we pulled a bunch of data around which ones are most installed so that we could make settings for the printers that were most applicable for people who are out there.
According to your data, which one is most installed?
I need to check back on that, but it's either an Anycubic or Elegoo one. You could honestly look at the list of printers that we have. So we have 7 printers there. They're all extremely popular. To name a few, we've got the Elegoo Saturn 3 Ultra, the Elegoo Mars 4, Anycubic Photon Mono 2, Uniformation GK2. But in reality, we wanted to also get a variety of printers from different brands. So we looked at not just how many printers are installed, but also how can we make settings for printers that will ensure the most widest compatibility.
Also, don't forget to watch the short videos I made with those machines because I show the room and everything. It's cool.
Yeah, it's
I
super
like
cool.
what they're doing.
Yeah. I can add a little bit more on that if you want.
Yeah.
We picked 7 printers and we want to get them from a variety of different brands. And then we actually purchased 3 of each printer because if you've been printing for a little bit, you may know that there's often what we call printer to printer variation, meaning that you get one printer and then you get another one from the same model, same brand. Maybe they operate a little bit differently. And so we kind of wanted to find what the floor and ceiling are so that we could make settings that will operate for almost any printer that you get from a certain brand.
Well, mass manufacturing is hard,
It is hard. Yeah, it's a hard problem to solve.
Did you receive feedback from users of other 3D printers during this process? If so, like what was the feedback like? What these feedbacks influence for you guys to change adjustments to these resin formulations?
Totally, yeah. I think in general at Formlabs, something we have been doing for a really long time that we don't always talk about is really extensive beta testing and customer interviews. So whenever we make any product, we are talking to tens, maybe even 100 different customers. And then once we go through the iteration cycle of making different materials, for example, we'll actually work with specific customers or non-customers yet, people who don't currently have the products, and have them beta test before anyone even knows about it. So I recruited many different people, friends and family, referrals. I also went on Reddit and messaged quite a few people seeing if they wanted to beta test these new resins.
I didn't beta test any of this.
Well, we don't really want that many influencers, I'd say, to be beta testing. We want the real people, like the people who are, okay, maybe that was incorrect.
Did you see?
I want the people who are sort of the everyday, the people who are like coming home from work and then going to print in their garages or their basements. And so we had about 10 different beta testers for each resin, and they went through a couple weeks of printing. So they had their own printers. We sent them our validated settings. They told us whether or not they worked for them. They told us if the washing and the post-curing was okay. And most importantly, do you like the resin? Like, is it performing the way you want it to perform?
Did they like the resin?
Yeah, I mean, eventually. So we actually go through a couple different iterations here. The resins that we're launching here are not the same resins that people originally were beta testing. So for example, for our Creator Tough resin, it was much, much shinier when we first started this iteration process.
Do you have examples to show you?
I don't have any. We've probably thrown them all in the trash at this point because it was a couple months ago. But a lot of the feedback from the beta testers is that, I can't see the detail on this. It may be a highly detailed model, but it's so glossy that I can't even tell.
Yeah, makes sense. That's a good point, though. So, what are some specific advantages of this resin, like regarding mechanical properties? How these resins stand out compared to what I own already in my home, probably like that.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different ways they stand out. The first one that we really want to emphasize is the mechanical properties, like the performance of the resin. So these resins are tougher and clearer than anything that's out there right now. And by tougher, what I mean is that if you're printing like a mini or figurine, we typically talk about, will it survive a drop? So oftentimes we're looking
You guys dropped it?
Oh yeah, we dropped a lot of them.
By the way, we have a really nice episode where I walk over all the used prints. So check that one. I'm attaching it to the card of this video somehow. So you will be able to find it.
Awesome. So yeah, we talk about, the practical implication is if you printed a mini and you put hours and hours into printing it and making it look just the way you want, and then someone accidentally drops it, is all your hard work going to go away?
Yeah, my friend recently broken. I'm going to tag the video in here. What I mean by my friend recently broken is we scanned my friend, we 3D printed her, then we printed her with a gray resin from X company, and she knocked it over on her head chopped off, and she had to super glue it back. But seems like this problem is going to either not going to happen or happen less with the new resins.
Yeah, we definitely want it to happen less. It totally depends on, of course, the model and the environment and everything, but that was really the practical bar that we were aiming for, is that if you've got a thin figurine or like a sword or something,
like
we want you to be able to, bend it just a little bit.
Can I drop it?
Sure. Oh gosh, that's quite high.
Okay.
Oof.
The carpet is too soft. Let's drop it to here.
He wants to break it.
No, it didn't break.
Okay.
Can I?
Yeah, go for it. This is a model from Hero Forge, actually.
Oh, okay. It didn't break.
Yeah, Hero Forge provided a bunch of models to us so that we could print actual minis and figurines.
Okay, we are good. It's not breaking it.
Whew, okay. It looks really good, actually.
Okay.
So yeah, we want the parts to perform. So tough is going to be great for minis and figurines. Clear is really a general purpose resin. It is super clear, so if you need things that are optically clear, absolutely, but you can use it for anything that's general purpose.
We are going to do a polishing episode about this clear resin. I love it. They just like turn it into crystal clear. Is it in here? Yeah. This is a normal dice. This is a polished dice. This is like amazingly clear. I can see through. We will take a look at this in more details too, but next episode, I'm gonna tag it if it's already published. So
yeah, we definitely wanted to make a general purpose resin that was really adaptable and versatile. Because I know right now there's many different color options for folks who go on Amazon, and it's difficult, honestly, to make all of those different colors and support those, especially with settings and things like that. So we wanted to make a resin that was easily dyeable and changeable. So you can absolutely paint super clear resin, and you can absolutely dye the resin as well to make lots of cool, fun colors without needing to invest in many different colored bottles.
Those colors are amazing. I'm going to put a close shot somewhere here. Maybe while I'm speaking right now, you might be seeing this at the same time. Also, like, there's one important thing that I want to touch. As you guys, this is empty bottle. There's nothing inside, so don't be scared. But there's something really good about these resins, is it says ACMO-free and ultra-low odor. So that's what I want to talk about is ACMO. And what is ACMO?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So mechanical property is absolutely something we wanted to solve. The other reason that we're choosing to enter this space is because the sort of mission statement of Formlabs as a company is to increase accessibility to 3D printing. Whether you're printing in your home office or whether you're printing in a doctor's office, everyone needs to have access to 3D printing so they can create the things they want. And something we started to notice in this segment is a lot of what we call very volatile chemicals being used, which every sort of chemical has its place as long as you're using it in the right way. If you're in a laboratory setting and you're using really volatile chemicals, but you're in a fume hood, that's fine. You know, you're using it in the right way. But most hobbyists are not operating in that way. You know, they're in their bedrooms or in their basements. And so we saw this trend starting to happen of people using really ultra low cost but highly volatile chemicals that can result in, the most common thing I think would people say, there's a big odor to this resin. You know, I can smell this resin. But it also leads to potential safety risks. So the two ones we associate most with ACMO, which is the most common volatile chemical that we're seeing from these competitors, is skin safety and inhalation.
Okay.
So all 3D printing resins, you have to wear gloves, right? You shouldn't be putting it on your skin. But accidents absolutely happen. And with ACMO in particular, it will sensitize your skin very quickly. Meaning that if you accidentally get it on, depending on who you are and how you react to it, it could look kind of okay if you wash it off, or you could get a pretty serious chemical burn or issue or rash on your skin.
Gotcha. I mean, that sounds cool. So I was going to ask what inspired Formlabs to prioritize development of safe resins. I think you already answered it, but
yeah. But I also say that Formlabs has always prioritized the development of safe resins. Now we're just trying to push it into a new market so that people have access to it.
Yeah, so that's cool. Next question is yes. For example, that you said you have competitors who are using ACMO, and you said Formlabs is not using it. Sure, but for the people who are skeptical, are Formlabs resins checked by independent reviewers for safety? Like, how does that work?
That's a great question.
Can we see a report about this online?
Yeah. We kind of knew that this would be a question because if you look at the safety data sheet for any given chemical or resin, that should really be the source of truth. It's the thing that's created by the manufacturer to educate the user or the operator on safe use of the materials, safe disposal of the materials, things like that. One, we found that a lot of the safety data sheets for the competitors who are using ACMO are just blatantly incorrect. They're not listing the correct health hazard statements, which advise you on whether you need to wear a respirator, whether you need to wear gloves, how to dispose of the resin, and things like that. And some safety data sheets, including some from Formlabs, don't include all of the chemicals because they're trade secrets. You know, these are the things that we have tons of PhD material scientists here who are creating these chemicals, creating these resin formulations. Yeah, and we don't always want to put them out to the world, but you still need to have the correct safety information, despite us not telling you exactly what chemical is in it. And so because we're coming out with all this ACMO information and education, we wanted to have a third party certify that our resins are ACMO free. And so we've gone to Intertech, the testing lab, and they're currently testing our resins as well as a number of competitor resins. And that information should be coming back really soon. We can link it in the video maybe. That basically says that yes, our resins are ACMO free and that competitors who are telling you that they don't have ACMO actually do.
Cool. We will link that so you guys can check it out further and comment down below. So right now we are swapping our guests.
Sorry guys, sorry. I just need to interrupt and tell everybody one thing that I forgot to mention, which is that we are running a print of the month contest at creator.formlabs.com. If you submit your own designs that have been printed with the Creator resins, every month we're going to pick someone who gets 2 kilograms of free resin, and we're going to print their parts and professionally photograph them, and you guys can use those photos for your own uses, and we'll also feature it on our website.
That seems like a pretty cool deal. That seems like a pretty cool deal, and yeah, I'm glad that we did not forget that one.
Absolutely. All right, thank you.
Yeah, Alex is a material scientist at Formlabs, and he played a crucial role in development on these resins. And can you tell us a little bit of yourself before we move forward to the questions?
Sure. I've been here at Formlabs for about 4.5 years now, working on a variety of our resins, primarily focused on our Formlabs printers before this, but over the past year or so we've been exploring, working on how we can make resins that will work on other people's printers and see how that looks. So it's been a fun project to kind of dive into that and see what's different and what we can do.
Cool. Could you walk us through the process of testing your resins across multiple 3D printers? What were the most important factors you considered?
Sure. Yeah, it's a good question. The first thing we want to do is figure out which printers we should actually look at to start. We want to try and look at a wide range of printers that would cover things from different size scales of printers, different powers coming off of the printers. We did look at some DLP in addition to LCD, but obviously LCD is the majority of the market. And then we wanted to dive in and understand, what is the difference between these? Obviously, the size of the build plate that you're using plays a role, so we have to pay attention to that, and that can play a big part in the motor moves, what you're going to do and how the viscosity is going to affect things there. The power of the printer itself and how we want to actually tune the material itself so that it works across all of the printers, and the viscosities that work with all of the printers. And then there's quite a bit of work that goes into understanding just the different films that are available. You think about the film that comes maybe standard with the printer versus the films that are there on third party, and that's going to again change things. So there's a lot of different components, as I'm sure most of your users know, that go into figuring out how to get a resin to work on a given printer.
This reminded me of the old days. By the way, if you geeks out there, I wrote a paper about this in Nature. You should check that one out. Cool. So what were the biggest challenges in ensuring your resins that will perform well across different 3D printers, and which may have varying specifications?
I think that the biggest challenge, when we walked into it, I think I expected exposure variation to be the biggest challenge, but that actually wasn't too difficult. It was pretty easy to dial that in. I think where we found the largest variation was in the retraction speeds and what you could get in terms of performance on the printer and trying to avoid the surface defects. I'm sure you've seen you get that kind of rough surface on the part sometime, and a lot of that's really tied to how fast you're squishing that resin out underneath the build platform. That, I think, ended up being probably the biggest challenge between printers, was looking at that. Another thing that was sort of a surprise challenge we found was just variation between different printers of the same model. We thought that we could just work with one, and we realized we had to expand that, and if we want to be confident in our settings, test it on 3 or 4 of a given model of printer just to make sure that we were able to kind of account for that variation.
That's why you guys have same printer duplicates.
Exactly.
I was like,
exactly.
why do they have that?
And we would have some where we'd print the same model across 4 of these printers, and 3 would be great, and 1 would just continuously fail. And so we had to sort of balance that out.
Cool. How did you ensure the resin maintained its quality, performance, and safety standards when used in printers from other manufacturers?
Sure, it's a good question. So from the safety perspective, that really comes down to the formulation and what we put in there, and so we try to think about that as we're developing. We want to use monomers that are less sensitizing, less irritating, less volatile, things that are going to be just generally safer to use when we can. In terms of trying to maintain quality, a lot of that came back to what I was talking about in understanding what exposures do we need to use to make sure that we're going to get reliable parts. Understanding, if we use light supports versus medium supports on different printers. We did find some printers really struggle with light supports no matter how well you're printing with your
You're not going to name
exposure.
them, I guess.
No, I won't call anyone out here, but
Some of them.
some of them. Some are great. Some really do perform quite well. And you can print really nice things with light supports that rip off easily. But I think that maintaining the quality was all about just taking the time to understand how each printer works and what the variation were between them, and then being comfortable to make the changes in the settings.
Gotcha. And did you work directly with other 3D manufacturers? Like, did you contact them during the testing or phase to optimize the compatibility, or was this purely internal efforts?
This was purely an internal effort. So we just basically purchased the printers ourselves online and then went to work.
I mean, otherwise they will be like, what's going on, right?
Yeah, exactly. We got to keep it a little secret.
I mean, they will be like, what's going on now when this product is released? But, well, things are about to change, guys. What sets Formlabs safe resins apart from other materials on the market? We talked with Jessie about the ACMO, but I would like to learn what ACMO is from a material scientist language too as well. But how have you managed to balance safety with the needs of performance of durability?
Yeah, I think that on the safety side of things, there's a few very clear monomers or chemicals in general that we'd like to try to avoid. ACMO is one of them. That stands for acrylomorpholin, which is a very reactive monomer. It's used a lot because it is low viscosity, it reacts very quickly, and you can get pretty nice mechanical properties out of it. Things that react quickly tend to be the things that are more sensitizing, which means you can develop an allergy to them or irritate your skin or eyes more likely. There's other materials besides Acmo that are quite sensitizing. A lot of the acrylate monomers that have been used in coatings historically and are also used in a lot of 3D printing resins. We try to avoid those as well for the same reasons. We want to try to minimize that. There are a lot of materials that you can use that you can build great strength, you can get good mechanical properties, you can get really nice surface finish that are much safer to use. There typically are drawbacks. Most of those are around speed. The good news is that we have really nice green strength on our part, and that allows us to make up a little bit of that exposure and reactivity speed using the motor moves.
Yeah, cool. One thing before I forgot what he was saying, gloves. Don't use cheap gloves. Use thick gloves, 6 millimeter if possible, because gloves protect you, but not at the same time. Thin gloves protects you well enough. So just to keep in mind. Next question. What safety standards or regulations did you have to meet while developing these resins? Are there like government requirements? Like how does that work?
Yeah, so there are government requirements on what chemicals we can use and how we have to document and share with our customers that they're being used in the product they're going to be exposed to. So a lot of that is around how we document our SDS, and we make sure that our SDS is in full compliance. That shows all the hazards that are associated with it, warning symbols if they need them, and then understanding around the TSCA, which is the Toxic Substance Control Act. So this is how you understand, make sure that the chemical is safely manufactured, imported to the U.S., handled here, understanding what would happen if it got into the environment, and make sure that all that assessment has been done so that we can basically have a full SDS that the customer can go look at and see all the hazards that they're being exposed to, what PPE they should use. In this case, you really want to be using gloves when you handle it, and an understanding of what the risks are if they weren't using this PPE, or if they did expose themselves, what are the risks associated with it?
Here's my last question to you. Like, what were the key challenges you faced during this R&D? But not in a way that, like professional, but I was more asking like, God damn it, this is not working. What are we going to do? Like late nights, like what pushed you to the limit? Like,
I think what was one of the most interesting things that really was a challenge here for us was getting the great surface finish that we wanted, especially on our tough material, the gray material. We wanted to have a really nice opaque and matte surface finish that really showed off the details.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of challenge in getting that in there with things that wouldn't hurt the viscosity or wouldn't impact our mechanical properties. And we really wanted to make sure it just looked nice, and that was a challenge we worked on.
What did you guys change, if it's not too much of a trade secret?
So I can't give the specifics away, but it is dilute additives that we're using here to sort of maintain how it looks on the surface.
Cool. I mean, this is impressive. We will do lots of prints with these, so don't forget to check them out. But I would like to thank you, Alex. It was really a joy to talk with you. And back to Jessie.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. I like this bottle, looking good. And I have a friend called Akuma Mods, Resin 3D Printing God on social media. He has something like this in different brand with his sticker over here, and he's using it as a water bottle to drink bottles. Would you guys be interested in making a funny resin bottle, but it's a water bottle at the same time?
I don't know about that. I mean, maybe for like a funny video, but I think the other thing we're trying to do is make sure that our marketing content reflects sort of what we're saying and what we're putting out there.
And so this one, like this one, but resin bottle style.
Yeah, like there's a lot of marketing content from competitor resin 3D printers on Amazon where they're showing people sniffing bottles, they're showing them not using gloves, they're showing them washing things in the sink, all of which are things absolutely should not be done, and it's sort of perpetuating this poor behavior, which if users don't know what the right behavior is, then it's hard to fault them for it. It's really on the manufacturers to be making sure the information is out there. So as far as making a water bottle, probably not right now.
Okay, but people are crazy, all right, there goes my couple cents. Okay, last couple questions. Do you think 3D printing resins, especially safer ones, will become more accessible for everyday users? Because when you talk about Formlabs, people are always like, oh, that's so expensive. Oh, that I don't have the Formlabs machine. Now Formlabs is entering the broader maker market where every creator can use this in their any machine that they want. So I assume these are going to be cheap. And seems like Formlabs is leading this shift. So what are you thinking about that?
Yeah.
And how do we know the price of these bottles?
Yeah, the price may fluctuate a little bit, but we're targeting about $45 a kilogram on Amazon. This is going to be available in the U.S. just to start, to kind of see how things go, but we may expand to other
Can we
countries
agree on
after
$30
that.
per kilo? No?
I'll send you a special discount code. But yeah,
Don't-
as far
don't
as
be jealous.
as far as safety goes, I absolutely think it's just going to continue.
Uh-huh.
We're obviously trying to lead the charge and sort of set a new standard for getting things certified with third-party labs, making sure safety data sheets are, one, correct, and two, really accessible, and three, marketing everything. And we're also trying to do that in other ways. So I know the majority of people who are watching are probably not using Formlabs printers, but when we design our printers and our ecosystem, we're trying to minimize the contact with resin as much as possible. Because you always need to wear gloves. You know, there's only so much you can do to make resin as safe as possible. The other things you can do are to affect the environment. To say you don't need to actually pour the resin in. You don't need to really ever interact with it. And the same thing goes for the washing solvent as well. So there's been a big surge in sort of water washable resins, the majority of which have quite a lot of ACMO in them. So we've avoided doing that for these resins.
Yeah, water washable resins are more toxic than normal resins, for the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, and Alex will tell you guys more about that. But what we can do is also affect the washing solution. So the majority of people are using isopropyl alcohol right now, which also does create VOCs in the air, and you need to have really good ventilation to make sure you're not breathing it in too much. So we just came out with a special Formlabs resin washing solution.
I want to try that. I never tried it. So.
Yeah, we'll get you some. It's a non-alcohol-based formulation, so it is non-flammable. It's relatively safe to use in sort of a normal room, and that could be a good option.
Does it clean good? My only worry is it really going to clean it good?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it cleans pretty well. You do have to do a water wash after. So basically you're washing first in the resin washing solution, which is the non-flammable stuff, and then you're dipping it in water afterwards.
My followers generally freak out when I wash my resin prints under sink or water, because I generally like to dip these to hot water to remove the support easily. But the thing is, I always wash them IPA and then dry them and then do water wash. When I put them into the Formlabs new wash and then put in the normal water, they will be again freaking out. What are you doing? But this time it won't be IPA though.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we're trying to kind of look at the whole ecosystem and say, you know, we can affect and control the resins because we actually formulate them here in Boston and we manufacture them in Ohio. So all of our resins are made in the USA. So we can control that. And we can also try and make the printing ecosystem as safe as possible.
Cool.
New solvents, using gloves all the time, and making the printer itself have the least interaction with resin.
I never ask. I generally 3D print in my basement, and my basement is cold. When do these guys freeze?
When do they freeze? That's a really good question for Alex. I'm not sure when
Okay.
they freeze. We do have the operating temperature on the printer or on the bottle there.
Okay.
But we've been operating kind of here in Boston as the seasons change and haven't had too many issues with printing.
Yeah, so that might be interesting for this winter, because winter is coming, guys.
Yeah, that could be a good video.
Yeah. I think this is our last question. As new 3D printers continue to enter market, which they will, how will Formlabs continue to ensure that resins remain compatible and effective?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question. So we're definitely looking at that from the printer perspective of, you know, we may come out with new materials over the course of time, but certainly new printers are going to be coming out, new iterations on printers, new mods to printers. And so every couple months, every 3 to 4 months or so, we're going to take a look at what's out there, what's becoming popular, what may be new, and then determine if we need to make new settings for these printers.
So for that, I assume you will buy the popular printer and test it in here.
Yeah, just like we have that room over there where we have the 21 lower cost printers, we'll continue to add printers in there as we need to.
Cool. I think that's all. If you guys further questions, comment down below of this video. I assume Formlabs YouTube channel will reply.
Yeah, I'll come in there with some replies.
Because sometimes I cannot reply because I don't know, I don't work in here. But this was really nice interview with Formlabs. Obviously, we learned a lot of new cool stuff with their resins. This is coming out on October.
It's coming out pretty soon, actually. So probably October 31st time. It'll be out on Amazon. We're going to have the 2 listings on Amazon in the United States at $45 a kilogram.
Perfect. So we will be able to buy these resins starting end of October. And maybe you guys can 3D print some clear orange colored pumpkins, which I will try to do if I get them early.
Yeah.
Maybe today. But yeah, thank you so much, Jessie, for being
Absolutely.
here and giving us this opportunity to interview with Formlabs.
Yeah.
I hope you guys like it. If so, click the thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe for 3D Printing Doctors YouTube channel and more. And also, don't forget to follow and subscribe Formlabs YouTube channel too, because more cool stuff are coming.
Yeah.
See you guys in the next video.